Hey y'all, welcome to the Convos with Anita Santiago podcast. Please like, share, subscribe to the podcast on all of the major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to reach out to me directly, you can reach out to me at convoscws at gmail.com. That's convos, CONVOS, at gmail.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, what is our topic that we're talking about today? Get comfortable being uncomfortable. In episode 25 last year, I did an episode on getting out of the comfort zone. I want to expand on that a little bit today, and just saying that we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable is not necessarily a bad thing. So, what do we know from episode 25? Nothing grows in the comfort zone. And when you're growing, it's not going to look necessarily neat and clean. It's going to be all over the place sometimes. But in order to get out of the comfort zone and really get some traction in your life, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you think about it, when you think about your life, where have you made your greatest achievements, your greatest goals? Was it in a season that you were very comfortable and things were going well? I would probably say that most people say, or most people would realize that the most growth that they experience is usually in a space of being uncomfortable. So, being uncomfortable means pushing past our limits, expanding our boundaries, and being more open um, as we push forward. And in order to grow, I really feel like we have to be uncomfortable. We have to get used to being uncomfortable. So, with that being said, growth is not about comfort. Growth is not about comfort. It's about learning how to navigate with resilience and grace those seasons in our lives that are very uncomfortable. And for a lot of people, that could be starting a family, starting a new job, going to school, going to college, whatever your uncomfortable space is. The growth comes as you learn to navigate that space, not just getting out of that space. Because I think as humans, we tend to want to be comfortable. There's a theory, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that says, we need food, shelter, and clothing, and then we our needs, as the pyramid in that theory goes up, our needs go up. But we have to fight that tendency to want to gravitate to what's comfortable so that we can continue growing. Many people set goals at the beginning of the year. You have goals for whatever you want to accomplish. Well, just think about it. Are you going to accomplish those goals when you're comfortable? Probably not. And so being comfortable, being uncomfortable requires a reframing of those concepts. It requires us to say, hey, being uncomfortable is not necessarily a negative or a bad thing. Being uncomfortable may be the key. It may unlock my potential growth going forward. So the more the discomfort, probably the more the growth. So the next time that you're feeling like, man, this is really an uncomfortable place that I'm in, just know that this is your season of growth. You're going to grow. I'll tell you probably a couple of places that may be uncomfortable. Financial. When we're not where we want to be financially, it can be very uncomfortable, and it can be very hard to work through those challenges. especially in today's economy with inflation through the roof, everything costing more. Many people may find themselves in a financial situation that's uncomfortable. I mentioned school, college. A lot of times when you start your academic career, that can be very uncomfortable. There's a lot of changes, there's a lot of things that happen in your life, whether you're a traditional student or a non traditional student. Becoming a parent, that can be a very uncomfortable space if you've never been there before. It's your first child. Um, Trying to achieve a goal. The gym I belong to, we talk about a lot. We have conversations a lot around our goals and what we're trying to accomplish. And it can be very uncomfortable when you're trying to get to a certain space or place. Maybe you're a bodybuilder, maybe you're just trying to lose weight, and you've been on this journey for a while and it's just really hard to get there. Just remember, being uncomfortable does not have to be negative. If we reframe that to being uncomfortable equals growth, then we may be more willing to step outside of that comfort zone where we're safe and secure and embrace being uncomfortable so that we can grow. Many of you guys know I'm in a doctorate program, working on my doctorate degree. I can't think of anything more uncomfortable. I mean, I'm sure there are other uncomfortable things, but for me right now, that's pretty uncomfortable. And if you don't, if you're pursuing any type of higher education and you look at it as a frustrating negative experience instead of a area for growth, it could change how you experience. It can change how you navigate that space, that uncomfortable space that you're in. So, do you navigate it with struggle and strife, or do you navigate it embracing the growth that comes with it, that moves you forward through that process? And so, again, this is one of those topics I think that has a lot of application across the board for young, old, male, female. It applies to everyone. This is also something that you can share with people around you. If you see people that are struggling, if you see people that are having a hard time or they're always complaining and always have something negative to say, maybe they need to embrace that uncomfortable space they're in so that it can become less frustrating and more about growing personally. I think that when you talk about discomfort, and if we think about this like being sick, it's not a pleasant experience. Who wants to be uncomfortable? Nobody. Who wants to be in discomfort? Nobody wants to be in discomfort. However, often to get started on your journey of growth, that's the very thing that you need. So, what are some examples of being uncomfortable? Like, I mean, there are tons of them, right? There are tons of situations that you could say, well, that's really uncomfortable, and I'm not comfortable in this situation. And I keep coming back to college. College is to me like an area that's really challenging because for many people it's 2, 3, 4 or more years of trying to navigate very, very challenging situations, um, not just in the assignments, but in interacting with instructors. It can be very, very, very challenging. But on the other end of that is knowledge and education that can never be taken away from you. So when we think about the growth that we'll achieve at the end of that uncomfortable period, it far outweighs the discomfort that you're feeling in a moment. So, why do we want to be comfortable being uncomfortable? Bottom line is we want to grow. We want to continue to grow, continue to improve, continue being the best version of ourselves that we can be. And what are some ways that you can actually be comfortable being uncomfortable besides going to school? Because that's the one I'm gonna keep harping on. But what about fear? Fear is a big one. Fear holds a lot of people back from trying things, from experiencing things. So you may have a fear of traveling. You may have a fear of doing things by yourself, perhaps. Those are two areas where it can be very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, and a fear can really be debilitating. Fear can really be debilitating, and I feel like uh, in some cases we have to fight that fear in order to push ourselves forward, right? So let's say traveling. Like you want to travel, but you don't have anyone to travel with. But you don't want to travel alone because you read the news and you see all this bad stuff happening. Well, maybe you try a short trip instead of a long trip far away. You take a short trip close. Maybe somewhere you drive an hour away versus a 12-hour plane ride. Just getting comfortable with traveling by yourself, doing things, exploring, um, maybe even finding travel groups where people who don't want to travel alone travel in a group where you meet other people. That might be something very different for you. Um, we talked about school, challenging yourself physically. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the gym. I love my gym. Shout out to Team Workout Heads here in St. Louis. Um, but when we start that journey of fitness, I want to be fit. I want to tone and build, and I want to exercise, and I want to do all these things. But maybe you're not as athletic, or maybe you've never tried different things. Okay, story time. Talk about getting out of your comfort zone. Let me tell you about the time I tried CrossFit. My best friend talked me into trying CrossFit, and I had never heard of it, didn't really know what it was, but I was on this. I just started my journey of trying to get fit, and I was like, CrossFit, yeah, that's it. I want to do CrossFit. So I found a box. I think that's what they call it, a box here in my where I live. And I went. I was so excited until they showed me the workout for the day, and I remember saying, "I'm supposed to do that? Like me? I'm supposed to do that?" Now, let me give you a little background. I am not very athletic. I had just started my fitness journey, so I don't have a lot of muscles. I'm not built solid. I'm a plus size girl here, and I was like, I absolutely can't do this. I cannot do this. I thought I was going to, walk out. Then I thought about it and I said, well, if I want to work out, I should at least try it. I should at least try it. I didn't do CrossFit long, maybe 3 months, but it really helped me get over the fear of thinking that I couldn't do things because I'm a plus size girl. It got me over the fear that because of my size, I'm limited. Now, granted, there are movements that I couldn't do. There were things I had to get help with. But I thought to myself, wow, here I am at this age and I'm here at CrossFit. This is the coolest thing ever. That would be an example of being comfortable being uncomfortable because no one in that box was my size. No one. But the encouragement that I received and the challenge that I gave myself is that, I want to learn about different ways to be fit. And I did that. I learned about CrossFit and I learned that realistically, I wasn't at um, a place that I felt comfortable, but it got me over that fear of, like I can't do a certain thing because because I'm plus size. I didn't fit the profile of like what a CrossFit client would look like. But that's definitely an example of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. One more story time. This is it. When I started running, and I'm a slow runner, Turtle Patrol here. I remember being at races and, finishing dead last all the time. But I was so excited to be out there because I knew I was doing something, achieving something that I had never achieved before. And again, we're talking about being comfortable, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I realized that even though I was a slow runner, even though a lot of times I was dead last, I was doing so much for myself. And so I continued to run for 6 years till my knee started giving me a problem. So, again, an example of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, being in those spaces that are going to push you to grow, challenge you, and help you become the very best version of yourself that you can become. And I think that that's an experience that not only changes you, but now you can take that experience and share it with people around you to help them. So whether you're talking to your children, whether you're talking to your people you're mentoring, whether you're doing community work, there is someone in your life. There's someone in your life that could benefit from the encouragement of being uncomfortable for the purpose of growing. There's somebody that when they hear your story and they hear how you put yourself in a position to be uncomfortable and what came out of that, they're going to be like, wow, I didn't even know, I never thought I could do that. But I heard that you did it. So now I'm encouraged to try it. In this world that we live in, we need a whole bunch more encouragement, motivation, and inspiration to move ourselves forward. There is so much negativity around us. There's so much just negative energy. But if we're working on being the best version of ourselves, if we're working on improving ourselves, if we're working on getting to a point that that we know it's okay to be uncomfortable. Like I'm really cool with being uncomfortable because I'm trying to push forward and grow. A lot of stuff would change. A lot of stuff would change. And so, don't overlook opportunities. Now I know I gave I gave example about college. I gave an example of myself about working out. But there are other ways to grow yourself personally. Getting out there in the community, doing community work. Everybody has an opinion on what needs to be done in the community. But when you volunteer at these organizations, you don't see a lot of people. If you want to get uncomfortable, get out in your community, mentor some kids, big brothers, big sisters. There's so many different opportunities that you can take advantage of to be uncomfortable. Speak up in your neighborhood, in your community. If you see something going wrong, go to those meetings. Go to those meetings, alderperson meetings, school board meetings, whatever meetings, public transportation meetings, utility meetings, whatever meeting in your community that impacts you. That's a way to get uncomfortable. Speak up. Speak up about what's going on in your community. Make your opinions be known. That's a great way to be uncomfortable. Volunteering, and just any opportunity you get to challenge yourself, to step outside of the comfort zone and be uncomfortable, you should be doing it. You should be doing it. Why? Because we want to grow. We want to be better. If you're better than you were before, you can get a little better. There's always room for improvement. Improvement never stops. There's no end point. So wherever you are on that continuum, maybe you're pretty okay with being uncomfortable. You can go a little further. You can help people understand that concept. You can help people push back past their limitations and get to a better version of themselves. But it takes us communicating and talking about it, first of all, and then sharing that with other people. So there is a lot of good stuff in being uncomfortable. And I'm hoping that you are encouraged after listening to this to definitely get out of your comfort zone, whatever it is. Try new foods, go to a new place, see something new, experience something new, do something you never thought you would do before. Be safe about it, though. I'm talking about just, fun stuff, not dangerous stuff. But try new things. Like, get out of being comfortable. Being comfortable is no good. It doesn't help. It doesn't push you. It doesn't keep you on your toes. It doesn't lead you to new things. And for a lot of us, we need some new things in our lives. We need to really experience people, culture, places, and be exposed to things that we haven't been exposed to. I'm going to give you one more example. I was reading an article about an African American family that decided to homeschool their kids. And every summer, they take their kids to another country, and the kids get to experience that culture and all the history about that culture. They get to experience it right then and there. Talk about doing something uncomfortable. But just think about the tremendous amount of knowledge and growth those kids are going to have. They're going to have experiences that most people only read about. They'll have the interaction with different cultures and languages and things that people in their peer group probably won't have. And again, it's about being comfortable doing things that are uncomfortable so that we can push forward. I thought that was a tremendous, not only a tremendous idea, but a tremendous experience for the kids. And it'll be interesting to see when they get done with their schooling, like if they ever come back and do a story about how they felt about that. But definitely being exposed to new things and different things are a great way to get uncomfortable. So here's the challenge, because I'm always coming with a challenge. Your challenge is to do something this over the next week that's uncomfortable. Do something that's uncomfortable. You've been thinking about it, but it's just a little uncomfortable. That might be going to a workout class, might be going to a paint and sip, it might be planning a trip, it might be cooking a new dish, trying a new food, calling someone you haven't talked to in a long time. Find something that gets you uncomfortable and do that. And then see how it pushes you forward on the back end. I think if you can do that consistently, if you can learn to be uncomfortable a lot, you're going to grow a lot. And you're going to notice, and the people around you are going to notice. I want to hear the stories. I want to know how uncomfortable you got and where you ended up and what did you learn from it. These are stories we should be sharing. These are experiences we should be sharing so that we can encourage those around us to do the same thing. I feel like when I was growing up, I was always surrounded by people who were sharing their stories, people who were talking, aunts, grandparents, cousins, and they talked about their experiences. I think in losing our family connections, You know how everybody used to live kind of close to each other, and people were closer, and now not so much. Families sometimes don't have that closeness. The cousins don't all get together and sleep over. You may not have those family reunions all the time. The family dynamic has truly changed over the years, but maybe we can get back to that. Maybe we can get back to telling our stories and sharing our experiences so that we can help those around us. So that's your challenge for the week. Get out of your comfort zone, do something uncomfortable, tell me about it, drop a comment, email me. I want to hear what those stories are. I want to thank you, listeners, fans, and supporters, for showing up, for being here, for listening to the Convos with Anita Santiago podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to pop over to the website, check it out, www.lifeconvos, that's LIFECONVOS.com. And happy listening. Talk to you soon.